Fore!
Welcome, friends, to Golf is a Four-Letter Word. Approaching the tee box now, your host, Craig Dufton.
It always gets me, Ben, every week. Craig Dufton.
Give you a little
Yeah.
chills
I
down
get
your
all
spine.
jumped up. Craig Dufton. Like I hope I don't let anybody down today. Nate, welcome back.
Thank you.
Nate
Thank you.
Ansak's here with us today. Ben, as always, you're the best.
Aw.
The guy behind the scenes. And we have a special guest with us today, Ann Cummings. She's with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services and the lovely Varani Realty Group, which we are a big part of in New Hampshire. Lots of realtors there. Ann, welcome. She's here via Zoom, right down below me, right here. Like this is like Hollywood Squares action. We were just talking about it. I'm on Paul Lynn in the middle. Like I have no witty answers though.
There you go.
How's it going? Welcome.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Craig, for having me on Golf is a Four-Letter Word.
I appreciate
It's
it.
a virgin voyage for me. So,
We'll take it slow for you. Don't worry. We'll speed it up at the end, but everything is going to be great. Again, welcome. Yeah, actually, Ann and I was just telling Nate before we got on the air here live that we met at Pease Golf Course. And why don't you talk about our introduction? Because it was kind of funny. I handed you my card. You handed me your card. I go out to have a fish sandwich and a Tito's and tonic. Do we?
Yeah, well, that's okay. Yeah. So I am a host at Grill 28, and the reason I chose Grill 28 is not only is it 4 miles from my house, but I'm an avid golfer, and being in real estate in Florida and New Hampshire, I found it a good niche for me, and I strike up conversation quite a bit, and that's how I met Craig. And so next thing we know, we're exchanging cards, and fast forward, here we are.
Yep, here we are to today. So we're going to talk about Golf Life Navigator and Golf Life International, too, the corporation that you're a certified agent for. Why don't you explain to us that process,
Sure.
and then we'll get into some other questions about parts of Florida that you're in and what you're doing down in the lovely area of Western Florida, where
Yeah,
we
absolutely.
all love Florida golf. Nate loves Florida golf. We all love Florida golf. So we're excited for 30 minutes of Florida golf here.
Awesome. Especially when it starts to snow.
Yeah.
So yeah, the reason I am affiliated with Golf Life Navigators is my own personal experience. When my husband and I decided to look in Southwest Florida, we were mesmerized and totally daunted by the experience, because when we first went down there, we were like deer in headlights with the map, walking into places, gated communities that you had to have open houses to get in, etc. So I said to myself, there has to be a better way. This is ridiculous. So that's how I found Golf Life Navigators.
Okay, tell us a little bit about Golf Life Navigators, because one of my favorite golfers is the one of the founders of the corporation, Peter Jacobson. He,
Correct.
Loved
Nice
watching
guy.
him growing up all the time. Funny guy. Very good.
Absolutely. So Golf Life Navigators started as a master's thesis project by who now is the CEO, Jason, and he developed an algorithm. And with this algorithm, this pro guide he developed, and this pro guide is, for a lack of a better word, an extensive questionnaire. And this questionnaire is free to any consumer, and it's usually given to both spouses. The questions, and as a personal experience, I can tell you this, my questions and my husband's questions were geared differently. My answers were different than him. He's a much more avid golfer than I am, and my wants and desires in a community were more than just golf.
Well, that's a cool point that you bring up, because the whole real estate process to begin with is, like you said, it's daunting. I mean, even when and if you don't have a realtor, number one, nobody ever recommends that you don't have a realtor helping you in this process. But, it just can be so overwhelming, especially we're talking about moving from New Hampshire, our lovely granite state, down to Florida. And a lot of times people are selling their homes up here with you in New Hampshire too, right? And that's another process that they have to deal with too. So they have the stress of doing that, and then they have the
Right.
stress of trying to find a place where they don't know if they're going to fit in. And so how do you help
Correct.
people make that decision easier? What's the right what's the right club? What's the right activities? That helps from the Navigator program, right?
Right.
Right.
Right. So with that questionnaire, as I did and as other consumers do, it narrows down because most people don't know unless they have grandparents or great grandparents who made that trek many, many years ago. They don't know the area that well. And most people don't know that there's about 371 private golf communities in the state of Florida.
Wow.
And in Southwest Florida alone, there's 157. So even if you went there, 157, can you
Right.
imagine trying to navigate that, hence the name? And so what this company did with this pro guide is make the process much more simple, stress-free, and kind of fun, actually, because it's like we term it as eHarmony meets Zillow for golf, because it's not just, we can sell you a house, that's not an issue, but the problem is that's a really important decision that you have to make, and it's one of the most important because you worked hard all your life.
Right. And quite frankly, the golf memberships at some of those courses down there they're not
Yeah.
cheap, and
Correct.
those are really financial decisions that you're making. I mean, maybe
Yeah.
20 years ago when they were $5,000 a year or $10,000 a year, but now, I
Oh
mean,
no.
what are we talking about? Some of those golf course memberships down there, they're pretty,
They
they're
could be
big bucks.
50, 100 initiation, and
Yeah.
then you have annual dues.
Right.
That's why bundled well, we can discuss that, but that's why
Okay.
bundled communities became more and more popular. But so with that 157 is what I'm saying, it can be so daunting. And this questionnaire through this algorithm process takes that 157 based on each spouse's criteria, and out comes up to 6 golf communities to work from.
Wow.
And then with Golf Life Properties, they match the consumer with us. And I am a trained and certified golf agent. So that means I have gone through a process, a training, and we have the PGA professionals on staff. We can get you on the course to play. We have a lot of tools in our boxes, in other words, than an average realtor, although wielded in her or his experience, we can give you that edge that another you just won't get anywhere else.
Sure.
And it's totally without cost to you.
Well, let me ask you the question about how are you sorting out someone who's like, hey, I just, maybe I'm going to go through Golf Life just to play that course. How do you separate that person from, that the person who's actually interested versus the person who's not interested? Do you charge a fee for them to play the golf course? I mean, I think if I was interested in a golf course, I would pay the fee to play 18 holes or 27 holes or whatever. But I'm just wondering if I buy a place later on, they give me the feedback. What happens? There's different things like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. In our instance, we did not play.
Okay.
I mean, we did not pay.
Yeah.
We played. Lynn Josephson, a PGA professional, took us out. Because he knows the pro there, and it's not like, we're not going to take up, and typically it's not in the height of the season, or they'll fit you in where you can. You may get 9 holes in, you may get 18. You may, not be able to play one course one day. But
yeah, they're not going to give you a 9 o'clock tee time on a Saturday morning, right? No.
Yeah, we can get you in, because I think that's a really, and we actually played with Lynn, so it's really a good experience that not many people.
So what about me? If Nate and I came down, we brought our wives down. Who would we play with? Would you pair us up with a potential member of that one of those 6 clubs that we choose?
Yep.
Is that how it goes?
We were paired up with, Lynn played with us, myself, my husband, and a resident.
Okay.
You try to get a resident, not a renter, but you get a resident because the resident lives there. He can tell you so much about it. And
Because
that's
for the people that don't play golf, like if somebody's watching this podcast right now and they're watching it with their husband who's interested or their wife who's a really avid golfer, and the spouse is like, man, golf, I can live with it or I can take it, or I'm not going to be golfing in Florida in July and August. What other amenities do these clubs
sure,
have? Like, I mean, you don't have to
sure.
get into every single one of them, but
No,
what are the big ones? I mean, we know
right.
they all have pools, we get that, but
Yep.
like,
Yep.
what?
Yeah, because golf is, although it's a golf podcast, we're talking about golf. We all like golf. Golf is not the number one motivation. Lifestyle is.
Okay,
And that's where it's really, really key to explain to clients, not only does this community offer golf, whether it be 18, 27, whatever it is, but look at the other amenities. A lot of these golf communities have resort style pools. Pickleball's huge right now. Bocce has always been there. World tennis has been very, very active.
sure.
Also, activity wise, we have gyms, fitness schedules, wine tastings, special dinners, woodworking shop. The gamut, it's a lot. And every community has their own special take on it. There's special amenities that make people want to be there.
Got anything,
Biking
Nate? Any
trails.
questions so far?
No, it sounds like, so the question, what are a few of the questions a few common ones or something that would kind of narrow down a search, or does it take the whole, are there like 20 questions on the questionnaire for each?
Oh no, there's more than that.
Oh,
There's
really?
more than
Oh.
that. Yeah.
So it's a
Yeah, it's
broad,
pretty good. It's
Yeah.
it's pretty extensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's real soul searching too, I mean, it's
Oh,
like,
no,
hey,
exactly.
you have to think, you have to
Yeah.
think, what do I do? What do I want?
What else
do I
do I
want?
want to
So
do?
it's almost like a personality profile too, just to
Yes.
see.
Mhm.
Because I'm assuming that you're not going to recommend if I'm 55 years old or 58 years old, and the majority of the club members in the club that I was interested in are 80 or 75. I mean,
I can speak to that. Mhm.
yeah. Okay, go ahead and speak to
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
That's why we have you here.
No,
Oh,
no.
we
I
have
mean,
you.
the average age of someone looking for an investment property, a second home or retirement home is about 55 years old. And that's been going down every single year.
Oh,
Now, because more and more people are looking for this at earlier in their life. And with the average transition time of 13 months, so people start looking, they usually don't buy in the next month.
right.
It's a process, it's a learning process.
Sure.
But about the golf courses in general, the attrition, which has been happening in golf courses, the new blood, the new clients, the new residents come in, and that brings down the ages of the communities. Yes, the majority of communities in Naples, for example, they were started 30, 40, 50 years ago. But as people move on, in other words,
Yeah.
the new
Well said.
That's a nice way of saying it's God's waiting room down in
Yes,
Naples, right? Is what you're trying to say?
yes,
Yeah. Okay.
the new residents come in, and coupled with those new residents, the golf course communities are waking up to that
Yeah.
and going, wow, we really need to cater to this new generation of people. What can we do?
Sure.
Bring them in. And that's why these communities are getting so great. There's so much more to
What
offer.
are they offering? What more, like a community 10 years ago has what now that they didn't have 10 years ago? I mean, not to put you
Yeah,
on the spot, but I'm curious.
right.
Like,
Well, we're going to bypass like the usual stuff, pools, tennis,
yeah.
bocce, things like that. What's big now, dog parks, kids areas, because your grandchildren are coming to visit. So you're going to have that kind of an area sometimes.
Yeah.
Biking trails, running trails, huge. Beach shuttles, huge. Cooking, book clubs, game rooms, or card games like that. Activities other than that.
How about boating? Do some of these places that you represent have have areas
Yep.
where people can bring their boats down, or they have
Yep.
a common
Yep.
dock or
Boat
something?
lifts. Sure.
Nice.
Boat lifts, boat docks.
Nice.
Yep. Absolutely. There are some communities that are so close to the water that they actually have private beaches, or they have kayaking right out. You go right down the waterway.
Nice.
So there's definitely other activities to keep you entertained and being social and enjoying the lifestyle that you've earned.
Now, this may be a silly question, but are the majority of them, are they gated communities or?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm. Yes, most all are gated.
Nice.
And I just think I think it's just an added sense of community and security, which makes it all the better.
And they
I
have
think.
restaurants and.
Oh yeah, restaurants are big.
Good.
Bars
Talk
are
about
big.
restaurants a little bit, because I'm getting
Yeah.
a little hungry too. So
Yeah,
right after
yeah.
that, we'll.
Typically clubs had a clubhouse where it's very fine dining and things like that. But as these generations progress, we want a more relaxed atmosphere. We want to be able to leave the pool area, throw on a cover up, and go into the tiki bar. We want to be able to go to the bar at night and watch the Pats play. We don't want to dress up. Social activities are dressed down, they're informal. Some places have multiple restaurants. Casual dining, fine dining, grill room, all that kind of stuff.
Nice.
So a lot more options for people.
Loving it so far.
Yeah. Would Golf Life help the community decide what they want to add? Like if they're seeing, do you work with them, and if they're seeing, oh, there's a lot of people that are liking disco music, would
Correct.
they, stuff
Yes,
like
that's
that? Would
not
you guys?
more in my realm, but
Wait a
that's
second.
in
Not
Disco
disco.
music?
Not really disco.
Where did
That's
disco
Golf
music?
Just what
Life
came to my head.
Navigators now. Yeah. So they work with that's how they
You
started.
guys, you work together in that
Oh yeah,
aspect.
yeah. But Golf Life Navigators started without the realtor piece many years ago.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
But in 2014, this pro guide started.
Yeah.
But they helped golf clubs many years ago with how to better themselves, how to get themselves
What
out
people
there,
are looking for, and
get the members in.
yeah,
Nice.
well,
Yeah.
interesting.
Ben, you're awful quiet. This is exciting stuff for you, because when Ben's not talking, that means we're doing good. Okay. When Ben starts talking, then we're in trouble. So
He's like, you guys need a little help. So.
yeah, no, we don't need any help right now. So let me ask you a question. On top of what Nate was talking about, we were talking about stuff going on in the future. So we're talking about betterments and all these other things, but those are not free. So how does that cost get passed down to the owner?
Okay.
I mean, I'm just gonna for our podcast, I'm just gonna assume that someone who's gonna come see you, obviously they want to buy a property either for real estate investment or for their own purposes. But we're going to talk about people who are getting property, because there are options to just go through them and not buy property or rent property, right? But let's talk about buying stuff through this podcast. But there are definitely other options that you can do.
Sure. I hear a lot when people aren't quite knowledgeable on this. They'll say, "Oh my gosh, I don't want HOA fees." Well, okay, so HOA fees are how the communities flourish, because when typically a golf course community has been around for 30 years, what happens to your golf course, right? It needs to be redone.
Right.
The fitness centers need to be rehabbed. The clubhouse, and the owners own the community, so those HOA fees are part of life and your destiny, pretty much. And it's, I always go to you get what you pay for kind of thing. And with that, that's your lifestyle that you've earned, and enjoy it. But that's where your fees are coming from. Absolutely.
Okay.
They'll have special assessments every once in a while, and that's to get those things paid for.
But I mean, they're always marketing, so they need to better themselves all the time. I mean, every property like this that's going to attract, it could have been a top destination 10 years ago, And I'm assuming that in Naples
It's
or
wear and
Bonita Springs,
tear.
or they want, I mean, the weather down there, you can get pretty beat up by a hurricane or something like that.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
And and also just keeping up with the Joneses kind of thing too, because if the course next to you adds 18 more holes, then
Absolutely.
you're gonna get that many more members over there, right? Because I mean, I was on the website checking the stuff out, and I mean, these places don't just have 18 holes. They have 54 holes. They have 27 holes, 36 holes. Some of them that have way more than 18 holes, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And the better your course is, the better your community is, the better influx of people you're going to have. An aged community isn't going to get a lot of homes, people wanting to live there, because there's not much to offer.
Right.
Case in point, like Bonita National is, like where I am as a 5-year-old community. 4 miles down the road is a 30-year-old community. Well, in 2018, they ripped up their golf course and they redid it.
Wow.
Yeah.
They redid their clubhouse. So it's part of their fees now. Their HOAs are a little high now, but that's what happens. But look how much a nicer place you're in.
Right. It's brand new golf.
Exactly.
Now, how
You
many
get what
the
you pay
place
for.
that you're living in now? Okay,
Mhm.
when you go down there, how many members are there? How many other homeowners are there? A few hundred homes or
We have 800.
800? Wow.
It can be 899, but of that, not all of them. Some are social and some are golf.
Okay.
Some communities are separate that way, so you could buy into a community as a social member, and a social member gives you everything else but golf. And we're also a bundled community, and that's a little bit of education for people who may not know the differences, because we have bundled communities and we have equity and non-equity. Back in the day, there used to be just non-equity and equity, which means you pay into the golf course heftily. It could be it's a good size initiation fee, and then you have your annual dues. An equity membership, if you decided to leave your community, you would get a portion of that back. But more and more golf communities are moving away from the equity and staying with just non-equity, which means non-refundable.
Okay.
But a bundled community, make it real simple. A bundled community means just that. Your home sale, all your fees are bundled together. So you have your annual dues for your golf, but you don't have an initiation fee.
So it goes
Right into the sales price.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then that will go into usually with a bundled community, you'll have a Chelsea system, because you have more golfers than a equity or non-equity place where they would have less members. We'd have to make it a little fair for all residents. So we'll have a Chelsea system.
Explain that to the people that don't know what a Chelsea
The
system
Chelsea
is.
system, the more you use it, the more you use it, the less preferred time you get. So the less you play, you're more likely to get a time you get. Okay.
Really?
So it makes it fair for everyone, because if Mr. Smith is playing every day at 7:30, because he's there, it's not fair for someone who might want that 7:30 slot at some point, right? So
right.
it's an equitable sharing system of sorts.
Okay.
So if you're going to play every day, you might have to play at 3:00 in the afternoon to let.
There you go.
Right.
You may not get that 7:30. You may get 10.
Which is fine.
But it makes it fair.
Sorry, Mr. Smith. You're out. I'm coming down.
Get out of here.
I'm playing once a week. I'm bumping Mr. Smith right out of here.
Exactly.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, now we know what a Chelsea system is. Ben, see? Ben likes to learn one new thing every week. And so
I thought it was about robbing banks in East Boston, but that's just me.
Yes.
That might be the Charlestown system.
Oh,
isn't it,
true.
I think? It could
Charlestown,
be.
right.
Yeah, it could be a Charlestown system. Pretty sure. But we're not going there. Sorry, Charlestown. We love Charlestown.
And there's enough to do in all these communities that it's not all based around golf. So everybody's doing something anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely.
which is, it's great. There's a lot of other things.
Do most people are most people snowbirds at these places, or do a lot of people live there year round, or what's the mix?
We have a nice mix.
Okay.
Yeah, we do have a nice mix. Because our community is a little younger than most, I would say I have more of the snowbird than a full-time.
Okay.
You'll see that in more mature communities, you're going to have more full-time people. But again, every community is different, and that's where I can help them determine what they would like.
So how many, do you have 18 holes at your course, or do you have more?
We do. 18.
And they have a driving range and everything too? Do they have all those, do they have all those amenities? I mean, because I know the big thing now is like short game areas and stuff like that, where, you know, that's like the cool thing to have, like the bunkers and all the, you know, the flags that you can shoot at and stuff like that. Do they have stuff like that down there too? Yeah.
Yep. Ours happens to be an aqua driving range.
Okay.
Some people like that, some people don't. So that's another, you know, a decision maker. We
that's
have
interesting when you think about whether you would choose a place because it has a water driving range or
some
not.
people are that avid that it's very important to them. But then we make it up in other ways. I mean, so
That's a good idea.
Yeah, we have a, you know, good course, challenging, 6 sets
hit to the water and the balls roll back. The balls are like, it's a man-made pond, I'm assuming, right? You're
huge.
And then it's huge, and all the balls will roll down into an area that are collected, and
that for irrigation also.
Like you're just hitting into the water. Yeah.
Water.
Yeah, we had a question from the audience. We have a beautiful audience today.
Beautiful.
They were asking what an aqua driving range is. So
yeah. They have little islands out there with flags, and there's different
nice.
you know, yardages.
Yeah.
You can
try to land it. It's, you know, there's a lot of island greens down in Florida, so you need to practice those all the time. There's one here in East Kingston, we won't talk about either. That golf course.
I heard it was looking really well.
Oh, really?
Really good
okay,
over there.
We'll have to get over there soon. But Ann, I love this conversation, so let's keep it going. What other things you want to chat about that people want to know?
Let's go for some. Let's see. How about like retirement stats? Just make it simple.
Okay.
In my wheelhouse in Southwest Florida alone, Naples and Fort Myers has consistently ranked number 1 and 4 in the top 5. So that's top 5 for the best cities to retire in Florida in America, and that's based on the U.S. News and World Report. Bonita Springs, whose mayor is from the little hamlet of Northampton, New Hampshire, by the way.
Oh, nice.
Makes the top 5 in the best small towns in America to retire to. Which
it is a great little spot, Bonita Springs. It's really
little hamlet.
It's
nice.
It's a beautiful spot. If people don't geographically know where Bonita Springs is, it's literally north of North Naples. So you're kind of wedged in between Fort Myers Beach and North Naples. Am I right on that one?
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay. And when we were searching, for example, I mean, that was my radius.
Yeah.
But in that radius, like I, refer back, there were 157 golf communities. It's like.
So how did you narrow it down? What was the final thing for you and your husband that brought you to, what was the name of the place you're living in now?
Bonita National.
Bonita National, nice.
That was one of our. Yep, that was one of our 6.
Okay.
So we went through the whole route, and we got 6. And the reason we went with Bonita National was primarily, I think, 2 reasons. One, it was a new community. We were looking at comparable places, comparable homes, residences, but they were 25 to 30 years old. And we were hesitant about when is that AC going to have to be replaced? How's that roof looking? Things like that. So for our bang for our buck, that was our one thing, was because it was new. And secondly, for the course, the dues are extremely low, which made it a no-brainer for us, for sure, because it's a great course. It was brand new. When we bought there, the clubhouse wasn't even built yet.
Oh.
So that's for us.
Is it built out now? 5 years later, are you completely full, and now it's all resale?
Yep.
Okay.
We have one street of homes coming in. Those are still those are social homes.
Okay.
All our golf community homes are resales now.
Oh, so they cap the amount of golf. Is that because the town
Yes.
does that, or is that just on their own choice?
No, they do that on purpose to make it so that the golf course can be utilized by all
Okay.
that live there. You know, it's just kind of like a thing. It's common. But those are the two primary ones, and the close proximity for us to everything we wanted to do.
Cool.
That's because I'm 20 minutes to the airport and I'm 20 minutes to downtown Naples.
Right.
Get off that plane, I don't want to spend an hour driving to my place because I'm not retired yet. You know, I don't have all the time in the world. I'm still.
You're also a Florida realtor too. You have your Florida license, and you have to have a Florida license to be involved with Golf Life, or.
Well, Golf Life is continent wide.
Okay.
So we go all the way from North, South Carolina, Florida, Texas, Arizona, California. So we have agents all over.
Nice.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
So if you're not a big fan of Florida, you can
correct. You
call
can go
and talk to you about Arizona. All right.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. And let's see, what else can I tell you? Oh, let's touch on COVID. I think that might be a good little thing.
Okay,
to
we're
talk
not going to touch anyone with COVID. We're going
to
talk about
Okay,
COVID.
touch
All right.
But
Because Ben got a little scared there for a second. So
yeah. Well, because COVID is on everybody's mind,
Sure.
and people, you know, we thought at first that people are gonna just stop, not bother looking, but that's changing because of the length of this crisis.
Yeah.
Here's some stats that I think are really interesting regarding COVID. 67% of consumers are now seeking a Sunbelt home with office space to work remotely.
Right.
It makes sense. Why am I going to sit here in the snow shoveling? Well, I can go down there, have a pool, sit, and do my work.
I ask myself all the time that same question.
And everybody has
And
learned.
I don't know why I can't answer it. Yeah.
Right. 18% of consumers are expediting their search because early retirement was offered to them. Some of these companies are saying, you know, they're trimming down. They're taking the older folks and saying, "Hey, do you want to retire early?" Well, yeah, I'm not going to sit here, right?
They give them your card.
You know.
Yeah.
They put your card in the package.
Exactly. 42% are expediting their search to get out of large populated cities.
Yeah, see that a lot.
We're not in that realm, but I'm just saying people from New York, people in Jersey.
Well, we even see that here in New Hampshire as realtors, right? So many people coming from Massachusetts to get out of the Boston metro area. It's crazy.
Up to Maine.
Yep.
So that's kind of interesting about COVID that we're finding.
So how are they handling COVID at your location right now? Obviously, everybody's social distancing and doing it properly, but you know, the great part about Florida is that you can eat outside for 12 months out of the year, and everything's all set up already. So there's probably not a lot that they needed to do except for just adding in all of the different distancing rules, basically, and maybe some signage and stuff like that.
Yes, correct. Right. It's getting more and more released now because it used to be restaurants were at 50%, for example. Right. Now they're at 100. With the showing of homes, that was buttoned up pretty tight with this COVID thing.
Yep.
And it was pretty virtual.
Okay.
And what I explained to people about that is I was virtual before this whole thing happened. That's how I became, you know, the local real estate expert for Florida, was because I sat with people in my office and we virtually went through listing
courses and all that stuff. Yeah.
So it's nothing different for me. But everybody is pretty safe down there. I think Florida has huge numbers. I'm not going to deny that.
Sure.
But unfortunately, little hamlets like Bonita Springs, cities like Fort Myers and Naples, in Collier and Lee County, our numbers are substantially lower than Miami-Dade County.
Sure.
But unfortunately, the whole state, just like the state of Massachusetts, you get these numbers
bundle them together. Yeah.
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 So it's kind of a facade, but it's like, we're okay.
Yeah. So did you actually shut down? Did anything shut down on your property? Was a golf course shut down or?
Golf, yes. In the beginning, golf was shut down. Fitness was, restaurants.
So like basically like everywhere they were
Mhm.
completely, even though it's a gated inside community.
Oh, absolutely. Like there were in the past, like in the beginning, like March, April, the pools were closed. Then they started opening the pools, but you had to bring your own chair. And then further down the road, as time went on, they put chairs out, but they were 6 feet apart.
Yeah.
So it was a gradual transition to more humanity kind of thing.
So people don't really need to be, I mean, aside from the whole COVID issues,
Mhm.
but they don't really need to be afraid to keep looking because the activity is still there.
No,
You're
absolutely not.
seeing it.
Yeah, and as you know, golf has had a boom in activity with
Sure.
COVID because it was the only thing we could do out. I mean, not only, but it's one of the great things sport-wise you could do outside.
Sure.
They're installing now in Florida plexiglass between the left and right seats of the golf cart, for example.
Oh, wow.
Oh, really?
So if you're not playing with a spouse, you can have this option. Until we know until this thing goes away or not.
Sure.
Yeah. So a lot of precautions.
Good.
But still good.
Excellent. So I had another question that I thought about a few minutes ago when you were talking about playing at your course. What options do people have to play at other Golf Life locations? Is there any
That's a
kind
good
of an
question.
agreed upon kind of secret pack between people that you could do, or do they offer like
It's
discount
not with
packages? Or
It's not with Golf Life Navigators, but like when I live at Bonita National, we have a reciprocal list.
okay,
So we have a list of reciprocal properties that you can play at. Now, the time and things you can do that depended upon how busy the season is. So typically in the January and February, it's really, really busy. You may not be able to play that other course at the time you want.
Yep.
In a reciprocal manner, but it's all, they work, the pros work together, the shop pros work together and help you with
So
that.
what's your cost on that? Is it you play for free and you pay for a golf cart, or what is that?
So typically, like my golf cart fee is $24 per person.
Okay.
If I go to the Strand or wherever on my reciprocal list, the price may be a little different. It's whatever they charge for their cart fee.
Okay. But the golf is included.
Yeah.
So how many people are on that list? A lot.
You mean
Courses.
How many courses are on that list?
Oh, how many courses?
Yeah,
sorry.
That's what I meant.
It depends. Like when we in this COVID thing, it's quite short now because of that.
Sure.
But typically, it can be as many as 30.
Wow. Well, you got options there. So I mean that.
Yeah, you have options.
The money you're paying it's probably a good amount of money to be a member, but you're also
At least you're not stuck.
you're not stuck playing that same course, because that to me is the biggest. And I wish courses around here would do that. There are a few that have reciprocals with places, but it would be nice to, if you're paying $5,000 or $10,000 for a membership, to be able to go and play somewhere else if you wanted to without having to.
It is a nice option.
Yep.
And also on the other side of that coin is you're also part of a community, and the friendships you form also make that life on the golf course more interesting because you're playing with different community members, which is nice.
Nice. Well, I liked it. I mean, this was a great podcast.
That's a nice little niche to be in. It's very interesting, making it easier for everybody to make the transition, and saves a lot of time, which is huge for people.
And just to let people know too that your fee, I'm assuming, is included in all of the other fees too. So they're not paying a separate fee for your services. It goes right in as a regular commission, like we do with it if you're buying a home around here.
Correct. Right. You're not paying anything for that pro guide. You're not paying anything for our technology and expertise and my trusted advisement. That's all part of the package. And that's something no other realtor can touch down there.
Awesome.
And as one of my clients said, there's no way we're going to Florida without Ann. So I actually
That should be your slogan right there. Where there's no way you're going to Florida without me.
One of my last clients, they got on the plane on Thursday. I flew down Friday. I met with them Friday, and then we've all done our homework up here. So just remember that. It's
You're not wasting time.
No. Down there. We determined her lifestyle choices. We learned about the communities. We viewed the homes. They got pre-qualified. We made the showing list. She flies down. He flies down. Friday, I meet with them. By 12:30 Friday, I flew in. I arrived at 10:10 or something like that. By 12:30, they were done. So that meant for them no frustration, no, oh my God, I can't possibly see all these properties in the weekend kind of sense. They were done. So they spent the rest of their weekend enjoying the anticipation of what's going to happen. This is so awesome. Instead of, oh my God, how can we find a house? And there was no pressure, none.
And I think the other thing that's a bonus for working with you is the no miscommunication either. You don't have an agent here in New Hampshire. You don't have an agent down in Florida. You have the same person doing both. And, I'm a real estate agent too. And I thought this whole thing was fascinating because real estate agents specialize, and this is a great specialty, and it really obviously helps our podcast, and I hope it helps. I hope you get 5 phone calls today, and I hope they all want to buy within less than 13 months for you. But
so when someone arrives, you said they went down before you. Is there a spot in the community where they can hang out?
Yes.
Do they ever stay overnight in that community to kind of get a feel for it? Is there accommodations for stuff like that?
Yeah, they can do that. If it's available, some places they do. Some communities do have what they call. It's not so much as like a model home, but they have a spare.
Like an Airbnb kind of place that they can go to, right?
Just so they can get a feel for the community, and they can go out to the restaurant or the bar and say, "Hey, this is kind of."
They can spend the whole day. They can spend the whole day.
Yeah.
And because we did this virtually, and there's so much to see just within virtual showcases and videos and aerials of the property, when they walked in, it felt like they've been there before.
And that's that's what I was wondering, because you don't really ever have a feel for the place until you actually go there. And the virtual is great, but emotionally, it seems like when you walk into something is where you.
Right. But for them, it was just a sense of relief. Yeah. Like, wow, how seamless was that?
Yeah, and then, that's great.
And then we have like our in-house mortgage company, and then it's all just seamless, and then it's done.
Nice.
And for them, it was like, a breather.
That's super.
All right. Well, we're going to wrap it up in a few seconds here.
I'd be happy.
Let me know. Let everybody know how to get in touch with you, Ann.
Sure. My name's Ann Cummings. I'm your Florida real estate connection. I'm easily reached through email at annsellssunshine@gmail.com.
Love it.
I am on Facebook.
We'll put that on our website for you too, our Facebook page.
Okay, I'm on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn under Ann Cummings. And I'm with Berkshire Hathaway Varani in Portsmouth and Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Florida Realty in Bonita Springs.
Nice. All right, well, we're going to put all that up there. So if anybody wants to get in touch with Ann, you can do that. I wanted to share with you this week, though, Ann, we do a quote every week. We do a golf quote. They're usually kind of funny. And this one is brought to you today by Golf Life Navigator and Ann Cummings, your Florida sunshine connection. All right. It's Paul Harvey. You know who Paul Harvey was. Rest his soul. He once said that golf is a game where you yell 4, shoot 6, and write down 5. So I'm sure a lot of that's being done down in Bonita National. But, yeah. What can I put you down for? Put me down for a 5. Like 7, I think, not more. I might have done that a few times with my father too. I looked at him like, Dad, I don't know about that one. Rest his soul too. Yeah. He always was like, was it 6? I don't know, maybe 5.
Or if you like my husband and myself, when we used to golf with his dad, who had Parkinson's, and his dad's best buddy, who had Alzheimer's. Okay.
Oh boy,
It was a lot of babysitting, and it's a lot of work.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
Wait, I know the feeling. Absolutely. Well, we appreciate your time, Ann. Thank you so much. We hope to have you back on the show. We hope you can continue to help us out here, and we're going to keep talking about your product. It's a great idea. If you're
Thank
looking for a home in Florida and you love that Western Florida sun, which I do, and I know my family does, Nate, thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
Get in
Thank
touch
you,
with
Ann.
Ann if you want
Nice to meet
Don't
you.
do anything without calling Ann. All right. Thank you
Ann.
guys for stopping in. Thank you, Ben.
Take care.
Thank you.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.